What's wrong with eating animals is when we're not aware of the fact that a life was taken and a life was lived that led to that taking. And what kind of life was it? And the reason I bring that up, and the reason that I think that's very important, is that modern factory farming treats animals without any level of respect. In fact, with contempt for their needs, for their instincts, for their well-being on every level. And the degree of cruelty that's involved in modern meat production is so severe. You don't have to be a vegetarian, you don't have to be an animal rights activist to find it deplorable, to find it appalling, if you actually see what it is, how far it's gone, how grotesque. Because animals have muscles that enable them to move about, but their movement is so restricted, they are so confined, they are often kept in cages barely larger than their own bodies, unable to move at all for the duration of their lives. Now that makes economic sense to the industry because an animal that is unable to move is unable to burn calories, and therefore the feed that goes into the animal is all converted into fat, which is then sold to the unsuspecting and unwary public. What's wrong is when we eat that without any understanding or any recognition that an animal not only gave its life, but endured almost unbelievable suffering and deprivation, so that we could have that tasty morsel that's full of fat we don't need, that's full of protein we don't need because we can get our protein elsewhere.
Fuck on, bitch! Fuck on, bitch!
And I think that the day that we start to ask where our food comes from and ask who's being affected and whose lives are involved and who's being oppressed or who's being harmed or who's being supported and what are the economics and what are the ethics, that's the day that we start to take responsibility genuinely for the food that we're eating and the lives that we're living.